I have been raising chickens now for about 13 years, I think, and I have tried so many different kinds of waters, and there are pros and cons to a lot of them. But today I want to compare 6 different waters that I have tried, giving you the things I like about them, the things I don't like about them, and how they stack up against each other, and showing you what I have landed on as my perfect watering system for different kinds of poultry. So let's get started. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ashley and welcome to Homestead. I love taking these systems and processes that regenerative farmers and market gardeners use and scaling them down to the homestead level so that you can produce more food on your homestead with less time and effort. So today, let's talk about chicken waters. There are 6 different chicken waters I'm going to be reviewing, so let's start with number 1. First up, we have the Galvanized chicken Fount, double wall Fount. This is a 3-gallon capacity. All right, so some good things about it. Number 1, large capacity, which means you don't have to fill it very often. That's great. You can hang it, which is also fantastic. And it does open from the top like this, so you can just fill from there, which is also wonderful because you'll see some of these designs you have to like flip upside down. What I did not like about it, Galvanized, it gets dirty really easily and it's just hard to clean, and I just really didn't appreciate that. The other downfall is I live in Minnesota. It gets cold in the winter, like very cold. And you can buy metal heater bases for this thing that it sits on and it heats down here, and it worked really well for the bottom, but if you fill it completely, the top will get to be an ice chunk that then you can't really fill it again, and it gets to be messy. Bring it in the house to have it thaw. Not ideal. So all in all, this is my least favorite because of the cleanliness factor and because the heating element just really wasn't effective, and that is a big consideration for me here in Minnesota. Next on the list, we have the heated dog dish. Now, this definitely has perks. I used this for many years as my winter solution because it can be heated, it's plugged in, and the heating element works extremely well. I've never had problems with ice forming on this. The downfall is it is wide open, so it gets dirty very easily, and it has a very small capacity, which means I have to fill my chicken water like daily. And if you're anything like me, you want to minimize the amount of work that you have to do to take care of your animals. And so this small capacity just made chores so much more like important on a regular basis. I like, if it's a snowstorm, knowing that my chickens have water even if I don't make it down to the coop that day. So this one was pretty good if you're looking for a winter solution and just need something easy for a few chickens. But overall, there are better options out there, which we will talk about here in a second. All right, next on the list, we have the Quick Clean 5-gallon water. I believe I got this one from Premier One Supplies. There are some things I loved about this water. First of all, it is very easy to fill. You take the lid off, you can put a hose or dump a bucket of water in there. So simple, which is incredibly nice. However, my biggest problem with this water was that it was so finicky. It has to be perfectly level, and if it was even just slightly off, the water would just run off the edge and run the whole thing dry. And for me, I raise a lot of my birds on pasture, which means I'm moving their waters around, and finding perfectly level ground on pasture is not easy. So this one, it was like trying to make sure it balanced and then watching it for a while to see. Now, if I was using this in a coop setting, like with my laying hens where I could level out a really nice spot and then set it on there, I think this could be a really good solution. The other way to make things, sit evenly is to hang them, but this is not designed to hang. Don't hang it. It's not sturdy enough to hold the 5-gallon hanging weight. So this is more to just carry. It's not for hanging. The other little thing that gets to be a little bit more complicated about this water are there are a lot of little pieces and parts when you take this apart. there's like this cap thing, and then when you unscrew it to clean it or troubleshoot it, you just need to make sure you get all the parts back in there correctly, because there are a lot of them, and if you don't, it's not going to work. So overall, this one is ideal in some senses because it's easy to fill, but it just was never practical, and I ended up more frustrated than happy with it. So that's when I started using this other one as a replacement. So let's go on to number 3. When I got frustrated with the other one, this is the water I went to. So this is number 3 on my list. This is just a basic 3-gallon poultry drinker. The bummer about this one is you have to flip it over to fill it, so it's much harder to fill. So you flip it over, you put the water in, and then you have to, oop, there was some water in there, gross. You have to put this back on top, rotate it, and then you either have to carry it awkwardly like this if you need to carry it somewhere, or if you carry it like this with the handle, it's gonna be like sloshing around and getting water out. So if you're having to transport things far, don't recommend. Also don't recommend if you do not want to get dirty, because your hands are gonna get on it, it's gonna get nice and gross. And this water you cannot heat. So you're out of luck for the winter for both this one and that last 5-gallon one. Just not gonna happen. You're gonna have to find a different solution. However, it's less picky about being level, and you can hang it. So for those reasons, I rate it above the other one. It has a 3-gallon capacity, so your chickens will have water for a long time, which I love. And you can set this in the field. You still have to make sure it's balanced, but it doesn't have to be like perfectly level. It's a little less picky. So I have been able to successfully use this out in the field with my birds. That said, I don't use this one regularly anymore. It's kind of my backup water, because I've gone to these next 2 waters that I'm going to show you that are my top 2 choices for waters for both broiler chickens and laying hens. So number 2 on my list, one of my favorite waters, this is what I use for all of my broiler chickens, is the Plasson Bell Drinker. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I'm actually not using them right now because I don't have any broiler chickens in the field, and that's the only thing I use them for. So I'm going to cue the B-roll here and show you some pictures from the past. So these drinkers, you hook up, they're gravity fed from a 5-gallon bucket. And so they're super easy to fill because all you have to do is fill that 5-gallon bucket. So whether you're using a hose or you're dumping it in with another bucket, it's very, very simple. Then they travel through, the water travels through this black hose down to the actual water drinker that is held, it's hanging. And it has to hang, so you need to be able to have something it's hanging from. So if you're using a broiler shelter, that's really easy to just hang it from a beam in your broiler shelter. If you're in a coop, that's also very simple. If you're in the field and just want to rig up like a basic tabletop stand for the bucket to sit on and then this to hang from, that would also be really, really easy. Why I love this water so much is it's very easy to fill, and it's also easy to clean out. You can clean out the 5-gallon bucket, and then you can easily just clean the top of the bell water portion, and there you go. Really quick and simple. It hangs, so it's not very finicky. It's always even. You can adjust the height of the water. I have not had issues with these, and so they have been fantastic for my meat birds. And if it's gotten a little clog or something, it's very easy for me to fix right in the field, and I've been using these for a few years now. So highly recommend those for broiler chickens. Now, you cannot use them in the winter. They will freeze. So this is a summer only thing, which is why I use them for my broilers, but I don't use them for my laying hens. So that takes me to my favorite water of all time, which I use for my laying hens year round. Let's head down to the coop and check it out. All right, here I am in the chicken coop, and this is my favorite water. This is the Premier 1 heated nipple water, and it has been amazing. I think this is a 3-gallon capacity, so it holds a lot of water, which means I only have to fill every few days, which is fantastic. And it keeps the water really nice and clean because it is a nipple water. So they can have access to nice, fresh, clean water all the time. You can see they're using it right now. It's a nice hot day, and they just have to peck at the nipples to get the water out. It hangs, or you can set it on a block, but I like to hang mine. It just keeps it simple. And I rig mine up with a little carabiner here. And then to fill, all I have to do is twist, and there it is. I'm gonna need to fill it soon. So twist the cap off, put it on, and then hang it back up. I don't have it plugged in right now, but it can be plugged in, so that's the cord that I use for it in the winter. This has done a pretty good job in the winter. Most of the time it has absolutely no issues. Occasionally, right now it's out in the run, if it's very windy, the nipples can freeze up, so I'll move it into the coop to hang it in there in like maybe the month of January, or half of January, half of February when we get our coldest, windiest weather. And occasionally the only other thing that could freeze up is this top part where it twists. I try really hard not to get water on that area, because if you get water on it, it will freeze. But all you have to do is kind of just bang your hand on the side, and that normally loosens the ice enough that you can twist it off. So those are a few little pro tips if you do have issues with it freezing clothes. But overall, this has been the most reliable heated water I have used here in Minnesota, where it gets very, very cold. Plus, they always have that nice, clean water available. All right, well, that is it for today's water review. I better fill this thing up because they are just about empty. So I've got some chores to do. If you have any questions about any of these waters, please feel free to stick them down in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Or if you have a favorite watering system that you've discovered over the years of raising chickens, I would love to know more, because I'm always on the hunt for better systems and processes to make raising animals easier. So have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.